Latest on Cyclone Idai, which looks a little bit worse than it did yesterday, now a category 2 on the Saffir-Simpson scale, 110 miles per hour and a pressure of 950 millibars. That's around 170 kilometers per hour sustained. It's at 19 degrees south, 41 degrees east. The CDPS scale shows an even more risk attached to this storm as it veers towards Mozambique. Now a stage 8 on the CDPS scale. That's mainly due to an expected rainfall amount in some parts of Mozambique could be as high as 32 inches. There it is right now, its location. It's showing signs of possible reintensification. The wind field is slightly larger than it was earlier, so it could intensify further once again, get towards category 3 or even category 4 status depending on what happens. At the minute, it's 196 miles from Basasta, India, 232 from Morondava in Madagascar, 279 from Quelimane in Mozambique and 409 from Beira. Tropical storm conditions are possible in the yellow areas in the next 48 hours. That covers a tiny little area of Mozambique. That yellow area will obviously grow in size over the next few days as we produce our updates. This is what the GFS model is calling for right now. You can see its movement just south of west into the later part of the week, and you can see now that the GFS is calling for a landfall very close to Beira in Mozambique, and could still be a category 3 by then if it does do that re-intensification that we're expecting, at least to a degree. So it's likely to still be a very strong storm by the time it arrives there and produce a lot of rain inland over the weekend, and by the next week it could re-emerge over the Mozambique Channel, but not quite so obviously doing that now in those latest frames. Sea surface temperatures are around 28 or even 29 degrees Celsius. That's certainly more than enough to sustain a very strong storm like this one, and if it does keep moving a little bit more quickly, it could re-intensify not 1 but possibly 2 categories if it really gets its way in the next 24 to 36 hours. There it is again, moving across the Mozambique Channel, making landfall Thursday night or Friday in Mozambique, and then moving inland. The winds will die down very quickly, the rainfall will persist, and that is going to be one of the biggest threats. Indeed, as we saw in the CDPS graphic earlier, it is pretty much the biggest threat from this storm despite its significant intensity. It's the rainfall that we're still most concerned about. These are the chances for tropical storm force winds right now. Can't really decide which city it's going to head for. 50% at Quelimane, 50% in Beira, 40% in Kimoyo inland, 20% in Tete further towards the northwest, and 15% even in Blantyre in southern Malawi. This is the latest model consensus, if there is one. The HWRF and the CTCX want re-intensification to category 4 status, JTWC just shy of that at category 3. Wind shear is certainly going to be in the storm's favour. Again, it is near nil for a good 3 or 4 days. Sea surface temperatures certainly warm enough. Relative humidity could still pose a little bit of a stumbling block, as well as the storm's movement itself. Model consensus seems to have tightened up in those last few runs, certainly looking at a landfall in Mozambique by the looks of things before a curve back towards the east. Latest satellite imagery shows the eye trying to reform again in those latest frames there. This is a 12-hour loop showing the satellite imagery. It didn't look so good earlier on. The eye collapsed and now it's building a new one, and it isn't looking so bad in those latest frames. In fact, that last one there, the eye just about starting to come out properly. We'll see if that trend continues, and obviously it remains a very dangerous situation for Eastern Africa. You can follow Force 13's outlets, the website force13.com. You can also find our YouTube channel. If you're not there already, you may well be. Good chance of that. Subscribe if you haven't. You can also find our Facebook page, search Force 13 all in text, and our Twitter handle, it's @Force13 on there. You can also help the project become even better by becoming a patron. You can see more information about all the benefits involved by visiting patreon.com/Force13. Of course, you can come into direct contact with us by messaging Fool13 on Discord at extension 9094 and Force13 on Skype, and our partners are also doing updates, Mateo e Cyclone Maurice on Facebook.